Welcome to our first video in the Summer Fridays with Preston Child series. We're delighted to be here. We're going to be with you for this session and 2 sessions to follow, where we're going to debate, where we're going to have fun, where we're going to insult each other, and where hopefully we're going to entertain you and teach you a bit more about our books and the process of writing books. I'm Lincoln Child, and this?
Douglas Preston.
In this particular session, we're going to talk about one of the more controversial aspects of our books, and that is, why the hell do you kill off so many characters? You know, who do you think you are? And we're going to explain why we do it, and why it's fun sometimes, and why we get into trouble sometimes doing it. And Doug will tell you about the first victim, not the first victim in our books obviously, but the first victim that really caused us some problems, and that was a character named O'Shaughnessy in our book Cabinet of Curiosities.
That's right. We love to play God. No, actually we don't love to play God. But the first character that we killed off, where we received a tremendous outpouring of anger, dissatisfaction, and condemnation from our readers, was O'Shaughnessy, who was a cop who we wanted in that book to create a very favorable character, someone with a great backstory, someone with a tragedy in his past who was overcoming it, and then to kill him off suddenly, to really shock the reader, to make the reader realize that nobody is safe in our books. Because the one thing we really dislike about a lot of thrillers is that you know that the good guys are going to survive and the bad guys are going to die, and where's the excitement or the uncertainty in that? So we wanted to fire a shot across the bow of the reader to let them, to warn them that nobody is safe. So when we killed off O'Shaughnessy, oh, the emails that came pouring in. How could you do that? You people are sick. This is outrageous. I'm never going to read another book of yours again. So that really gave us pause. And then as time went on, we thought, well, maybe it's time to kill off another character. But I'm going to turn it over to Link to talk about that particular character and what happened there.
The next character where this came up was a character named Smith Ludwig in our book Still Life with Crows. And he wasn't exactly like O'Shaughnessy. O'Shaughnessy was a cop and Smith Ludwig was a reporter, but they were both really decent people and nice guys trying hardest to make a buck and get ahead and do the right thing. And so we thought, oh, he's perfect to kill off because he's such a nice guy, and no one's going to expect it. This is great. And so we killed him off. But then we thought, wait a minute, remember what happened the last time? All the death threats we got, and the people protesting out in front of our door, and burning crosses on our front lawn, and maybe it isn't a good idea. So we made it seem like he was dead, but at the last minute we resurrected him. And actually, we did write it so he was dead. All we did was we added a sentence at the end where he came stumbling out of the corn, disheveled and half dazed. So we basically dodged a bullet that time. However, that wasn't the last time this came up. The third time it came up was a much more dangerous time in a lot of ways, because it dealt with our first and in some ways still most popular heroine, Margot Green, who made her debut in The Relic. And I'll pass it back to Doug to tell that story.
Well, with Margot Green, we really, again, wanted to shock the reader. We wanted to frighten the reader, throw them off balance. And so we decided that maybe we should kill one of our main characters, and we settled on Margot Green. But as we discussed it, we became more and more nervous about doing this. I mean, not only was Margot Green the heroine of our first book, but also, that book was made into a movie by Paramount Pictures, and she was the heroine in the movie, the star. And we thought, boy, this is really, maybe is going to have a terrible reaction among our readers. So we did something very sneaky. We anonymously went on our bulletin boards, and we posed as a reader with inside information who'd heard a rumor that maybe Preston and Child were going to kill off Margot Green in the next novel. And had anyone heard about this rumor, and what did people think of it? So we posted this anonymously as if we were just a reader somewhere. And then we monitored the boards to see the reaction. Oh my God. Well, we saw what people had to say about that idea, and we said, no, we're not going to kill Margot Green because we didn't want our families taken hostage and all this other stuff. So we almost killed her. We scared our readers half to death by thinking she was going to be killed, but in the end she survived. And
we just didn't have the nerve to do it. When it came
we
right
didn't,
down to
yeah,
it.
we were, from what our readers said. So, but then we thought, hey, wait a minute, are we going to let our readers bully us like this? Come on. So I'm going to turn it back over to Link to talk about the next time we had to thought about killing off a character.
Yeah, the most recent and in some ways most controversial was Bill Smithback in Cemetery Dance. And I say most controversial because this time we really did kill off one of our most beloved characters. Bill Smithback, the journalist who's been with us since Relic, who's a wise ass, who's a smart-talking, hip, you know, hungry reporter for the New York Times. And he's been in all the biggest adventures we've ever done with Pendergast. And we thought, let's kill him off in the first chapter, you know? And it was Doug who suggested it. Doug's always wanted to kill off our
No.
characters,
Lincoln suggested. I had nothing to do with this. I argued against it. I swear.
He wants to kill Pendergast off. It's terrible. So he said, look, we'll do this, and it's going to shock the reader because they think Smithback can't die. He's a main character. He's one of the top 3. And we did it because, hey, you know, no one's safe. You know, that's the message we're giving you. And if he dies, maybe Nora Kelly, his wife, could die. And in fact, she's menaced in the book but doesn't die. And we also killed him off for another reason, because both Doug and I really like Bill Smithback. You know, we sort of think he's like us, and we give him our own best lines. And so when, you know, we were doing a book tour and people in the audience were saying, why did you almost kill off Margot? You know, if you're going to kill somebody, kill Smithback. I hate Smithback. Or somebody would say, you know, why is Smithback in so many books? He's an obnoxious guy, and it made us really mad. And so I said, all right, we'll kill him off and see how you like that. And the last reason we killed him off was because the poor guy had been through everything imaginable. He'd had surgery with no anesthesia. He'd been kidnapped and stuck in a mental institution. He'd been chased. We thought he's done everything, so why not send him out with a bang? And so we did, and it really hit our readers hard. One person took to her bed for several days. She was just so bothered by it, she couldn't deal with it. And I think Doug has had some personal experience with some of the other reactions we had about Smithback, right?
Well, I did. You know, we got emails from people saying, I'm never going to read another one of your books again. How could you do this? Outrageous. And, you know, who do you think you are? And, but, you know, I have to tell you one funny thing about killing off Smithback. After we'd done this, written this first chapter, Lincoln came to me and he said, you know, Doug, he said, people aren't going to believe that we've really killed him. They're going to think we're going to resurrect him like we did with Nora and like we did with Smith Ludwig. We've got to do something that shows people that he's really dead. Like, for example, let's show the autopsy and we'll show his brain actually out of his skull, and that way the reader will definitely know he's dead.
That's something that I would suggest. I write the sickest and most perverse sections of the book, so that's right. I'd forgotten that anecdote.
So we did that. We actually had his autopsy, we had the Y incision and everything else, and then we definitely showed his brain outside of his skull sitting in a Tupperware container. And we thought, well, that will definitely convince the reader that he's not coming back.
There the Diener was, running the gut, you know, doing all that stuff, and right there on the page. And it was something.
No, it was terrible, but I actually, believe it or not, we're laughing now, but we both feel very sorry and sad that Smithback had to go. We do, honestly.
It was terrible to sacrifice him, but it was in the line of duty, and his death was not in vain. And we promise you, he may not return. In fact, he will not return. But we promise you a character we think you will like just as much, if not more, named Gideon Crew, who's going to appear in our new series. Gideon's Sword is the first book coming out next February. It's going to be a different series. We're not stopping the Pendergast series at all. We're keeping it up at the same speed. But we have a new action-oriented, lean, fast-moving story with a really interesting hero that we're really excited about, and we can't wait to show him to you.
Yeah, and Gideon Crew does reincarnate or resurrect bits and pieces of Smithback. Now, he's a different person completely, but I think you'll see echoes of Smithback in him.
He's a more violent Smithback and a less literary Smithback, wouldn't you say?
Yes, violent and less, he has a more wavering moral compass than Smithback
Exactly,
did.
but they both love to drink, so in that sense they're like us. No, just kidding. Anyway, it's been great to be with you, and thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Lincoln.
We'll see you again at the next installment a week from today.
I would like to direct your attention to this really lovely shirt I'm wearing. In fact, it's so lovely that I'm going to be giving it away, or we are going to be giving it away to some extraordinarily lucky person at our Blog Talk Radio. The details are on the website. But look at it. It says here, Cemetery Dance, a truly lovely shirt in finest polyester.
And you know what? We won't even wash it. So you'll get Doug's DNA as an added bonus.
And you could clone me. There you go.
Well, you would want to do that, but it is a beautiful shirt too. And doesn't it look just lovely on him?
Yes.
That is just one part of the grand finale of our summer festival with Preston Child. The other part is the invite us to your party segment. If you can get 10 people together, then we want to join your party and answer your questions and talk to you. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you around.
Ciao.